Hold on.
Loud.
I know. All right, we're back. Good topic. We needed a second session because it's going long, so we're just going to keep rolling with it because it's a good topic. At any rate, we're talking a little bit about how to sell your property quickly, what we can do to maximize and make a big impact, like a splash when you hit the market. I know that's kind of like cheesy, but we wanted to get a little bit more out of Liv's time on the podcast today because she is our marketer. She's the girl that takes all of the information and kind of like makes it come to life in the really kind of funny way. I've never said that before in my life, but it makes sense.
Yeah, sure.
And so we talked a little bit about kind of preparation and renovation and what we can do to kind of position the buyer psychology to make the house sell expeditiously. But I'm curious, let's talk about what the seller can do to help the house sell quickly. Because one of the things that we talk about often with our clients is making ourselves available.
Yes.
And the way that I say it to my client is, you have every right to decline a showing.
Absolutely.
But if you have to decline a showing, I need you to text me and tell me what's going on and when they can come.
Yeah.
Like if you have a baby and you can't show the property between 1 and 3 or 7 and 9 or whatever the time constraints are, we want to eliminate those from your criteria.
So that you never have to deny those showings.
Right. But if we get a showing request today for 4:00 and you deny it, yeah, like if you deny it, what's going to happen immediately as soon as you deny it? A buyer's agent is going to call me and say, hey, why did I get denied?
Right.
And when can I show?
Yeah.
So if you don't give me that information, I can't possibly help.
Right.
But making your home available is key. What are the things that you're sharing with sellers when they're asking, like, do I have to? And what kind of timeline and how much notice will I get? Things like that.
Well, I always, for our listings especially, we always like to give at least some 1 hour notice for people without kids, 2 hour notice for people with kids, pets, other things
Fair.
like that, making sure I try to make sure that I'm setting the parameters so that the showings are only happening at normal times. So like I'm eliminating 5 a.m. I'm eliminating 10 p.m.
Yeah.
No one's showing your house at 5 a.m. I promise. And just coaching them into responding quickly to those requests when they come in with a simple text. That way people aren't waiting, calling you, being like, why is my showing not approved yet?
Yeah, I feel even in just the last 5 or 6 years, our seller confidence, like technology, we have gone away from these sellers that are just like, I don't know how to use the showing time service to like, oh, I didn't see the message.
Yeah.
It's like, bro, statistically, we know you saw the text message.
Come on,
you see a text message within 5 minutes.
I also make sure it goes to their email as well. That way, they have it in 2 places. If they're on their computer at work, they might see the email faster. It's possible.
So really the speed to that approval is going to change things. And I'll tell you from a buyer's agent standpoint, the speed to approval is going to make my life easier. So if you as a seller, if we as a team can make the buyer's agent's life easier,
it matters. It really matters a lot because if you're in the process of scheduling showings for a certain day, you want to know that it's on your schedule. And if it's not, you're just going to eliminate it. Like, we can't see it. Next.
So we talk a little bit about families that are selling an estate or someone's passed away, or maybe they're moving into a family home or into a assisted living home.
Sure.
Now the family is selling the property. And for those homes, we're pretty much allowing them to go and show whenever they're available.
Yeah, vacant properties, just go and show. We let the sellers have a notification if they want it to know when showings are being scheduled.
Yeah.
But if that's also cluttering up their phone, if we have 28 showings in 3 days, that might annoy them. We can always turn that off as well.
What about if it's tenant occupied?
Oh, yeah. We also, of course, have the tenants on showing time as well, so that if they're still living in the property, they have the ability to approve and deny showings.
If we're selling a property that's tenant occupied and the landlord is trying to sell it as an investment, does that change?
As an investment, as in with the tenant?
With the tenant occupying.
I think it does change. I mean, you would still definitely need to get the tenant approval for showing and that kind of thing, but the marketing would be completely different. The way that we would present it online would be different than, selling a property that could be an investment rather than is currently.
Yeah, and we have a client that's going through that right now. I'm going to call him Matt. It's his last name in case anybody's wondering. I'm going to call him Matt anyway. he's trying to sell a property that he both inherited and is tenant occupied.
Yeah, he's got a lot going on.
He's got a lot going on. And his value when he came to us was not like top dollar. His value was not speed. His value was ease. And I feel like we mistake speed with ease. Like if we sell it quickly, that'll make it easy for him. But they do go kind of hand in hand.
Yeah, but sometimes it can be more stressful to try to sell it quickly. If
Especially
you have to
with the tenant
get
occupying
people out,
it.
exactly. Yeah. Or you want to keep them in, it might actually be slower, might actually be easier for you in the long run in that case, even if at the time it doesn't feel like it. You'd like to just have it out of your life.
Will that complexity, like having a tenant or maybe perhaps having to deny a showing, impact how quickly a home will sell?
I mean, it definitely could if the showings aren't being able to happen as frequently. But one thing that happened recently with one of our clients, they were worried that they had to have some showing restrictions because they had a new baby in the house. And it's Dagum.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
So he had expressed to
Good
Marissa
you,
that he didn't want to have showings during the day. Like he only wanted showings, or he only wanted showings in the evenings. I don't remember which one, but he at one point wanted only about 4 or 5 hours a day of showings. And Marissa was really worried about this. And she said to me, like, this is going to impact us. We're not going to be able to get under contract. Should I tell him that that's not okay? And I said, in this situation, I actually think that it's completely fine. Agents will show it when it's available. They already know the parameters for when it is. So they're not going to be, asking, getting denied, annoyed, not showing it. They know the parameters. They can set the rest of their showings around that schedule. And I don't think it will impact you. And ultimately, they did sell their house and they went under contract.
And that was what I took away from that, right? Yeah. I actually didn't know that they had a baby. Congratulations, Dagum. Love that. But what I took away from it was he had aspirations of having a certain net, like the amount of money that he walked away from. His net was important, and he actually sold for less than his net.
Wow.
But he was still gracious and saying thank you and leaving positive reviews and just being generous and courteous to Marissa too. It just goes to prove that while it may have impacted his sale, it helped him accomplish the goal.
Yes.
And so maybe it impacted the net.
It may have.
But it helped him accomplish the goal. And so you kind of have to keep that in mind when you're thinking about your pricing strategy, when you're thinking about your timeline and your execution strategy too.
At what point in the listing conversation as an agent do you have a conversation with them about what is your number one goal?
It's interesting. I think that answer changes.
Depending on the client?
No, I think it changes through the conversation.
That could be true too.
I had a conversation recently with a seller who was like, I want to do this. All right. And after 30 minutes of talking with him, I reiterated, you want this. And he was like, well, but that's not the only thing.
Yeah.
Right? It starts off as though I want to sell fast, or I want to sell for the most money, or I want to sell swiftly, or I want to be the number one pricing in the market. And then it eventually becomes, I want that, but I'm also focused on this, which is why we're here.
Right.
Right? It's not all about trimming expenses or selling for the most money or selling fastest, but I think it just changes. Mm-hmm. And it's interesting how it changes for the same client.
Really?
Many times we set our expectation with the client that they want to sell as quickly as possible.
Sure. That's what they all want to say.
But then when you start to talk about the benefit of doing a micro renovation or the benefit of making it available on their schedule, it no longer becomes speed. It becomes affordability. It becomes, the value like Dagum did of getting the home sold, not getting the home sold for the top dollar.
Exactly. Just having it sold is what really matters in the end.
Yeah.
I think a lot of it also people might not realize, like, in their head is quite clear what their goal is, because they're like, obviously I want to sell my house fast and for the most money, but you don't understand that their real goal is to leave the state so they can be closer to their family for an event coming up. You know what I mean? Right. And it's in their head very clear, but we don't understand that. So then they're frustrated with us, and it's because our goals just aren't aligned because we didn't understand. We were just at a conference a couple weeks ago, and one of the presenters, amazing agent, and we love our network. If you guys don't know, our network is just an unbelievable group of agents from around the country. We get together 3 times a year. So we were just in Charleston, and it's a small group, about 150 of us. And when I was sitting there in the front row,
there was a slide and it said stop. And I'm looking at this slide thinking to myself, these are 150 of the best real estate agents in the country, like top 5, top 10 in the entire world
consistently
with EXP. And you're standing on stage just putting a slide up that says stop. I must need to pay attention. Yeah. And what he said was stop thinking. And I'm like, all right, well, now you've got me thinking, right? Like, what are we stopping thinking about? And what he said, stop thinking about what your seller wants. Stop thinking that you know what your seller wants. Stop thinking that you can X. Stop thinking that you should or you could or you would. It's ultimately the question of, hey, what's important to you about getting your home sold quickly? And what are you willing to sacrifice if speed is your only objective?
Yeah, it's that triangle, right?
Right.
You can have it fast, good, or cheap.
Yep. And our goal is to have it fast, good, and cheap,
exactly.
Right? But ultimately, what we really, really desperately want is we want to accomplish that good. Whatever your goal is, we want to be the best.
Yes.
Not good, the goodest. And yes, I know that that's not English, so rip me. But we want to be the good of the category and figure out, is your goal to make the most money or the goal to sell the fastest?
Yes.
And how can we bridge that gap while we're doing both?
Yeah, exactly.
So if we start to ask questions, and for those real estate agents that might be listening, ask more questions so that you can stop thinking.
Yes.
Stop thinking that you know the answer. And every time that you say, I think, just correct yourself and say, hey, based on what you've told me, this is the outcome that you're searching for. Right?
Right.
And let them reply and say, yes, I am, or no, you didn't hear me correctly.
I didn't. Yeah, there's a miscommunication.
Right.
I think people would rather make assumptions because it gets them faster through the listing consultation, through the process. Like, oh, I understand this seller. I've seen this seller a million times. You want to sell, you want to move. I got it. But they didn't take the time to actually figure out this individual's goals, etc.
Even if it's a doctor or a mechanic, it's like, oh, I think it'll be fine.
Yeah.
Well, does the patient think that it'll be fine? Right? Like, are you just giving me lip service to make me feel better?
Right.
Because if you really said, hey, I think that we can sell your home for this much money, are you just giving me lip service? Or are you saying, hey, based on your goals, we can do this, and this, and it will sell for this much money?
Exactly.
A very different conversation.
Very different.
So, you had 2 more questions on here that I want to tackle, because the first one was, what advice would you give a seller who wants to sell quickly but is afraid of pricing too low? There is the salesperson's advice, which is you can't underprice the market. The market will always correct.
There you go.
But my personal opinion is that that's not really true. There is a delicate dance of, if you price too low, you're going to miss the buyers that'll bring it to the right price. So let's just say, hypothetically, you have a house that's worth $1 million, or let's just say over $1 million.
Okay.
If you price it at $500,000, how many $1 million buyers are going to see that property?
Almost none.
And there'll be a couple.
Yeah.
But they're going to see it as a deal, an opportunity. And even if they get close to $1 million, they're going to go to 750, 800, 900,000, but they're not really going to drive it up
to over $1 million.
To over $1 million, unless that's your marketing strategy. That's a whole different animal. But I think there's a value to understanding the low end, understanding the middle, and understanding the high end.
Yeah.
If you have an uber over improved property, you need to understand the high end, because you're already over improved. So we can't price above the high end. We're going to miss all the buyers in the marketplace.
Right. That's not your market.
Again, we're in a $1 million community. We've over improved our property and we want 1.3 million. Well, if we list for 1.3, all the buyers in that community are pre-approved to 1.1 at best.
Right.
So what we need to do is we need to start targeting that, like 1.1. Maybe we can get it into the 1.2, 1.25.
Yeah, you can raise it up from there.
But we have to set that expectation, because if we take that same over improved $1 million home and list it for 900, well, now we're approaching the buyers that are only approved to 999. Right. Like, they're in $1 million community, yes, but they're not going to be able to aggregate the value
where you want it to go.
So there's a delicate dance when you understand the market, you understand the community and what's going on. That is how you prevent underpricing.
Yeah.
but it is a little bit of a gamble.
Do you think agents are afraid of underpricing?
Oh my God. I think agents are afraid of pricing in general.
Yeah, that's true.
Which is why they say, I think.
Yeah.
I think
right.
It's like, stop thinking, right? Present the facts and then allow the seller to give you guidance.
Exactly.
I think agents are terrified of pricing.
They're afraid of pricing too low because they don't want to make a mistake and end up in that category where they can't get it over $1 million because they made that mistake.
The vice versa, right? Like if a seller is afraid of pricing too low, the agent then becomes like hyper focused on pricing high.
Right.
And so that $1 million house, they just priced it at 1.3 because they don't want to lose the seller, but they're never going to sell it.
It's not worth it.
Right? So sellers are generating this problem and agents don't know how to handle it.
Yeah.
And I think that's a real challenge. The last question on here was the biggest misconception Maryland homeowners have about selling fast. Ooh, what is the biggest misconception? Do you know the answer to this? Is this like a Google question?
No, this is a question that I genuinely have for you. What do you think it is? But if I had to take a stab at it, what I would guess, I think a misconception people have about selling fast is that we are still in a COVID market where they should be able to list their house and have 20 offers by tomorrow. I think a lot of the people in my community think this. And then when a house isn't selling as fast as they think it should, they're like, well, there must be something wrong with their house. Certainly if I did that for my house, it would be on the market. It would sell immediately. There must be a problem.
Interesting. I think I might be with you on that. But I think the misconception is not that it's still like COVID.
Sure.
Because in a lot of areas in Maryland, in the whole Northeast, it is.
And you got 9 offers on yours over the weekend. I mean, it does still happen.
I think the biggest misconception is that we can just list it at any price and it will sell fast.
That's a good point.
And I think you're hitting the nail on the head. We can list it at any price and it'll sell quickly. Well, during COVID, we were doing that. Yes. There's no shy about it, right? During COVID, unskilled agents were listing property for like, I don't know, $550 when the last sale was $550, and then they were selling for $575.
Yep.
Yeah, that does happen. But now that same market, buyers are a little bit more discerning. They're not willing to just accept anything. They're not just willing to accept a 30-year-old HVAC unit or a house with a pool that the liner is cracked, right? They're a little bit more discerning. So now the misconception about selling quickly is that I can do whatever I want with regard to pricing with no regard to condition.
Right.
I think that might be the breakdown.
Misconception. Where that's not really the case.
Yeah. And when you have that super simple like recliner that we couldn't move and we're still going to leave it there, but we're going to get it out before settlement, that's a misconception because it stigmatizes the property from day one. We talked about how it stigmatizes the property in its photos, but I do think that not taking the time to prepare the home properly is the misconception.
That they think that they don't need to.
Yeah.
We can just list it. It'll sell immediately.
Yeah.
That's the market.
You know, I wasn't alive in real estate. I know that's not a word. You can rip me up for that one too. But I was not alive in real estate when we went through the market crash of 2008.
Neither was I.
But there were still houses selling in 2009.
I'm certain there were.
Right? And there were still caves that were trading in the caveman days.
Right.
The most ideal property on the most bucolic location is going to sell for the right price.
Always.
But you can't put an LA mansion on the market for $400 million if it's really a $200 million property.
Yeah.
By the way, house just hit the market for $400 million. It's the most expensive house in America.
That's crazy.
Ever to have been listed, let alone sold. And if it sells anywhere remotely close to $400 million, that's insane.
That's wild.
But if they don't truly believe that that is a fair price for that property, it's not going to sell quickly.
Right.
And it might sell eventually. Or if it's a really fair price, I don't know. I don't work the LA market. Maybe that's a fair price. Maybe it sells tomorrow. I want to know that guy so his daughter can marry me. I love you. We can have multiple wives, but that's the Arab lifestyle over there. But the premise is if you're just throwing it up onto the market with no preparation, I mean,
yeah.
Could you sell quickly? I guess. Even the worst property, if it was priced as low as humanly possible, might not sell quickly if it's just not desirable to the buyers.
People still don't want it. It doesn't matter how much it costs.
Yeah. So I don't know. I feel pretty confident that is the biggest summary to take away from these two blogs is just, hey, let's get it sold expeditiously.
Yes.
Let's get to the market in the best condition. Let's not overspend. We don't want to over-improve. We want to provide a buyer with a really amazing home. And maybe we do a couple of things that we don't have to, and hopefully we get a return. But maybe we do the things that we don't have to because it's the right thing to turn the property over to the next buyer.
Yes.
And I believe that buyer finds that and they endear with that
it.
And they move on.
There you go.
But at any rate, if selling your house in our market here in Maryland or anywhere for that matter, you're not just going to go about luck. You're not just throwing a dart at a dartboard. I'm not very good at darts, so
you're not?
Really hope not. It is about the strategy that you take. And what we want to do is we want to maximize your value and sell quickly with the right price, the right condition, and the right marketing. Thank you very much, Liv.
You're welcome.
But that process does start well before your listing goes live.
Absolutely.
So if you're thinking about selling a property here in Maryland, in Baltimore, or any of the surrounding counties, even as far south as California, Maryland, which we do cover, we'd love to have the opportunity to work with you. You can always reach out to me or Liv, as she's going to tell you, on our Instagram at michael.frank_____. Or you can find out about this blog and so many more on our website at frankoliverco.com under additional resources. Go to the blog. You guys have heard this all before.
They know.
We'll catch up with you real soon.
Thanks, guys.
What's up, guys? Thanks for watching. For more information on the housing market, Real Estate 101, how you can leverage your position in today's market, and so much more, click on the link below. If you like this video or have a burning real estate question you'd like us to answer, leave us a comment and let us know. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you never miss an episode, and we'll see you again real soon.